My name is Kris Gethin, and what I aim to bring to you is inspiration, motivation from clients, everything that will allow you to evolve as a human being. Hello, everybody. This is Kris Gethin, and welcome to the Kris Gethin podcast. We have another client spotlight for you today, and the transformation that you're going to see from the images that I'm going to show you for those of you that are watching on YouTube is going to blow your mind. However, what is more fascinating to me is what goes into the transformation. Of course, a lot of you see the before and after picture, you see the massive weight loss, but what about the environment that that person had to control, whether it be family, whether it be work commitments, whatever, injury, death, we have no idea. His story is quite inspiring. And when you see the images that accompany it, you'll see why he's definitely worthy of getting this story out there to inspire others. Andrew Hicks, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, man. Happy to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, I'm looking at your before pictures here, and I'm going to show them to the camera here in a second. But, you know, you look absolutely phenomenal now compared to what I'm looking at. And this is just from the neck up. Can you tell us, like, you know, how old are you? You know, what commitments? Do you have a family? And, you know, what was it that was your tipping point that made you go, you know what, I have to make a change?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm 40. I just turned 40 in December. Very busy job, kiddos with activities. I have a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old that keep me busy, beautiful wife that also keeps me busy. It was, I think, my 39th birthday where I looked in the mirror at what I had become over the years and remembered, you know, my early and mid 20s when I was in great shape and had fallen out of that and gotten into some bad habits that over the years stack one on top of each other, and you get to a point where you just don't really recognize yourself anymore. I had a close friend of similar body set that actually had cardiac arrest and passed away a couple years prior. I had kind of looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself, and you know, the fear of leaving my children fatherless, my wife without a head of household, was finally what kind of kicked my ass into overdrive. And you know, through the years, I've been, you know, following Kris's tutelage for years, and, you know, the constant in your face of these incredible transformations of people losing weight, changing their lives, not even just losing weight, putting on muscle if they're already in good shape, you know, and I always said, man, I wish I could do something like that. I wish I could just do that. I wish I would just suck it up and do that. And that was what kind of sent me over the edge and had me reach out to Kris back in January, because I had no other choice. You know, I feel like at my age, you know, you get to a point when you're in that bad a shape where you have two options, and you can correct it and live a healthier, more fulfilling life, or continue to go downhill. And we all know where that leads. So I had no other option, in my opinion.
And I'm going to start off by showing these beginning images here. Okay, so there is the before that we've got here. And this is what, around 295 pounds?
Yeah, 297.
297 pounds, 297. And what height are you?
About 5'9.5", 5'10".
About 5'90". So that's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, on your, and let me show the back picture, because I love showing the back picture because you cannot fake that. Okay. No. And this is what we look like after. So that is the back now. Very, very different person from the back. The side where you could see the belly protruding a lot, very, very tight, completely disappeared here. And then there's the front, completely different person. And I've got the picture of them side by side, so you can actually see the before and after picture there for those that are viewing this on YouTube. So as you can see, this is quite astounding. This is an amazing transformation that you did basically last year.
Yeah.
When you went through this transformation, you know, obviously you've lost a considerable amount of weight. How much weight was it in total? Was it about 85, 90 pounds?
88, 89 pounds total. Yeah.
88, 89 pounds. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, what were the main struggles that you had to deal with in order to bring that weight down in such a short time frame? Was it work commitments? Was it family commitments? Was it having to get up early and get everything done? Was it the meal prep, or is this something that we don't know about that was a struggle for you?
It honestly was a collection of all of that in small fashion. I think the biggest thing with everybody and the easiest excuse is time. You can always make excuses for time, like, oh, I'm tired, and oh, it's already 7:00. And if I go to the gym now, it'll be 9 before I get home, and the kids will already be asleep. And when am I going to get my meals in? That kind of thing. I'm somebody that thrives on structure, and I didn't have really any aside from, okay, where do I go next? Okay, I'm done with this. Where do I go next? Or, okay, I've got, my son's got soccer, and then I got to take my daughter to gymnastics, like that kind of thing. And you just kind of move from one thing to the next without going into the following day knowing what it looks like. The last time I was in very good shape in my 20s, well, that was, 15 years ago. A lot has changed from like a mindset of how to build, how to lose, the most efficient ways to lose, the healthiest ways to lose, that kind of thing. And so that's changed over the years. And food combined with workouts, I didn't really know where to start. So it's just this paralysis of so many things you feel like working against you and not knowing where to start, what to prioritize, when to do what. And again, that's why I reached out to you, because I didn't know where to start. And it's so easy to just say, F it, I'm not going to do anything, when you have all these things you feel like working against you and being overwhelmed. And yeah, on top of that, an incredibly busy job that I'm sort of doing 7 days a week. Not really. I shouldn't be, but my industry is one that if a customer of mine needs help, sometimes I do need to work on Saturday or Sunday at 3 p.m. for an hour or so. So a very demanding job, no structure, not knowing where to start, already being incredibly busy with family stuff and other things of that nature. So it was a collection of all of that kind of working against me and kind of overwhelming me.
Right. And did you have any health scares in the beginning? Did you have any blood markers that the doctor had shared with you that was of concern that also was a motive to transform?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. The month before you and I began, I had done an annual visit. My glucose through the roof. My blood pressure was like 150 over 100, resting heart rate consistently between 90 and 100, sometimes over 100. My liver, not in the greatest shape from being overweight and going to happy hour 3 times a week. Yeah, my liver enzymes were incredibly elevated. Cholesterol, obviously, through the roof. Again, that was another strong indicator. And, my doctor kind of saying, hey, man, what's going on? You got to make some changes. You're not 25 anymore. You can't get away with the things you're trying to get away with now. So 100%, that played a huge part of it, kind of scaring me a little bit.
So one of the things that I do recall as well from the beginning, that your testosterone levels were low as well, yes. Which happens, when your body fat's high, you become insulin resistant, and obviously not having a good diet or nutritional or sleeping protocol can have major negative impacts on your testosterone levels. So have you since had these markers checked again to see where you're at now?
Yeah, I did them when we stopped, and then did them again actually a month ago. And everything is well back within the normal range, testosterone included. Testosterone has gone up since we quit, because I've been continuing to walk the walk, so to speak, for the last 4 or 5 months. Everything back well within the normal range, liver, cholesterol, heart rate, blood pressure, everything. I mean, I would love to do one of the age tests or whatever.
Like an age. Yeah, that'd be great.
I need to do that, because I would probably be fairly shocked with the results if I did, because I'm the poster child of health inside and out now. So
yeah, you should definitely get that done. What I think, a lot of people out there think they're healthy, especially within the fitness industry, because some people have a great metabolism and they'll burn everything off. So they go, yeah, I got a 6-pack, I must be healthy. And when they have their blood markers done or their glycanage done, and find out that their biological age is about 10 years older than their chronological age, now that's a wake-up call. So I really, really do like that test. And then you can measure it every year to see if the practices that you are doing, much like with your blood markers, are actually coming to fruition. They're working. So then it gives you an extra boost of motivation and accountability to go for it. We've spoken about the health benefits. Your physical transformation is obvious. So if you don't mind me sharing, you dealt with a little bit of anxiety, especially with fly-in, and had to take some drugs for that. Going through that process, have you noticed that you've got any cognitive clarity? You're dealing with stress and anxiety a little bit better. Can you share a little bit more than what you've witnessed during that time of that transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things you learn when working with you is just that, how to manage all of that stress, anxiety, things you can do outside of diet and exercise to kind of control those types of things. The biohacking stuff has been huge for me. Things that are super easy to do, but you just don't think about if you're not in the know. But yeah, I am somebody that is fairly high strung, even more so a year or two ago, because of what you said, terrible sleep, staying up late and getting up early, burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, is horrible. I've learned just how much I need sleep to be normal. And I wasn't getting that. And the sleep I was getting was garbage just because of poor gut health and not having a good diet and exercise plan. And something I kind of knew about myself already, but have learned even more so is I am somebody that needs exercise to stay sane and not be so high strung and, worried about things that I can't control, that kind of thing. Yeah, I have completely done a 180. I used to kind of walk around, with a cloudy mind, cloudy brain, just again, from lack of sleep, poor gut health, no exercise, and just, like I said, kind of moving from one thing to the next, one activity to the next with no real structure. It's completely different. A lot of issues I had and struggles I had prior to 2021, it was kind of like a little bit of a reawakening and perception and perspective on so much has completely done a 180 and changed. And I just have more rational thought, and my decision-making ability is so clear and more thought out. And I've learned so many ways to just kind of put my mind at rest when when your brain starts to wander. I'm somebody that's, when I get bored, my mind can wander aimlessly forever. And I've found so many ways and, ways to deal with things like that, of that nature. And stress, obviously, when you exercise and sleep, you're not going to be stressed out, but just living more presently and not worrying about the things I can't control. Truly has been life-changing for me.
Yeah, and I think when you are a little bit more present, because I do mention, make sure that when you're eating your meals, you're not distracted, you're not scrolling, you're not reading. When you're a little bit more present, you're a little bit more in tune to your thoughts, and you can correct yourself when you're in that present moment, obviously. And a lot of my clients, including myself, every now and again deals with bouts of anxiety. And a lot of it is because we don't start our day off correctly. We haven't started off with maybe exercise or cold thermogenesis or meditation, inviting that positivity into your universe, because from the moment that you wake up, that dictates the rest of your day. And as we know, the day dictates the next day and following and so forth. Is there anything that you have found that had a more profound effect on anxiety or stress or anything like that than anything else? Like, was it going out and getting sunlight for cardio, or was it maybe CBD, or was it cold thermogenesis, or maybe it's just the change in your diet?
One of the biggest things for me is when I start the day with my workouts, because like you said, it's how you set the tone at the beginning dictates how the rest of the day is going to go mentally, whatever, physically. I always try and get to the gym first. I always do cardio first thing, but if there's enough time before I have to drop a kiddo off at school and drive into work, if I have enough time to lift in the morning, I always prefer to, because I just start the day so much better and with more clearer head. And that probably is number one for me, is getting everything, knocked out early. And then doing that, you're not setting yourself up for failure for later in the day, because like you said, as the day goes on, it compounds and you get busier and busier and things drop out of the sky. If you knock at least the lifting and morning cardio out first thing, then it's like, okay, if I do have to go to the gym, it's only for 20 or 30 minutes. I can get in, hop on the treadmill and be done, probably get it in before my wife and the kiddos get home. So you're setting yourself up for success very early on. I always try to at least do an ice bath after a leg day. I feel like, whether it's mental or not, I feel like my recovery is way better from leg day, since yours are horrendous.
You're the one that's doing it, mate. I'm just giving you the template.
So I always try and do that after leg day. Cold shower in the morning, 3-4 minutes is really good, just to kind of, get the day started off on the right foot. And the more you can knock out early on, the less you're setting yourself up for failure later in the day.
So I want to get a little bit of a backstory here as well on, what was it that led to your weight gain, to getting close to 300 pounds? Was it fast food? Was it not eating enough? Was it putting the family first, drinking alcohol? Is there anything that you can dial it down to that? And did it happen was it gradual progression over, say, 10 years, or had something kind of changed in your life that allowed you to pack on this weight?
It was a gradual process. And I think the biggest thing was starting a family, and that's when that whole time factor comes into play. I would say it started around the time I was 30 and was a slow progression, 10 or 15 pounds here and there, from going out to lunch every day, going to restaurants, and then a couple nights a week. Hey, we're going to grab a couple beers after work. You want to come with us? Yeah, sure. Why not? I had my daughter 10 years ago, right around the same time, I started gaining weight, and it's, new parents, we're exhausted all the time and we don't have time to cook. Oh, we'll just get a pizza. We'll have a pizza delivered. The stress of kiddos and working and providing for a family, weighs into your decision-making. What's the easiest out? Like I said, ordering a pizza, or, well, I don't want to exercise. I'm too tired. I was up at 4:00 for a feeding. And those things, like I said, kind of compound on each other. I don't think I ever shared this with you, but my mother passed away 5 years ago this June after a pretty brutal battle with a type of blood cancer. And it was incredibly aggressive. Once she was diagnosed, she lasted about 10 months. That really kind of sent it into overdrive for, spiraling into bad habits. Then that was a lot of, never saying no to happy hour, that kind of thing. And just not really wanting to do much for a little bit, just because I know you're very close with your family. It's tough to watch that. So that was 5 years ago. And that really sent it into overdrive, and laying out of the gym and not exercising at all, and thinking that my walk to and from my car before and after work was enough exercise. For the first 5 years, it was starting a family and being kind of lazy with habits, and then really kind of kicking that into overdrive. So, and just making excuses for everything.
Yeah. And obviously, losing your mother, that's going to be an emotional time. It's a weird instance where sometimes it can drive people go, wow, okay, somebody that I know very dear to me, like your friend passed away, that can be the tipping point to go, I got to make sure that I take care of my health for my kids. But a lot of the time it swings the other way, because you're emotionally charged and you want to feel comforted. Yeah. And if you're not getting that comfort from that loved one that you've lost, then now you kind of replace it with bad habits, because it makes you feel good momentarily.
Oh yeah. Instant gratification.
It's instant gratification. Exactly right. And then it just has a vicious circle until, it takes for a picture or someone to say something, or for you to just have an aha moment. And they're like, I got to do something about my health. I've got to invest in my health for my future, Yeah. Now, obviously with losing that weight, did you have any structural issues, with your back, with your hips, with your knees at being that weight? And did you feel an elevation of those symptoms when you lost it?
Yeah. So all of the above. I had pain everywhere, definitely lower back pain, constant. I always had just weird pains in my stomach, weird joint issues. Now that we're talking about it, I remember when I would wake up, I would kind of swing my legs out over the bed and have to kind of sit there for a minute and adjust myself every morning without exception, and just always complaining about pain. And that Man, it is the absolute opposite now. I spring out of bed every morning. As soon as my alarm goes off, I jump out of bed and throw on my gym clothes and come downstairs and have my lemon juice, Outlive, and HydroCharge before I start the day. And I don't really have back pain anymore, just from all of the different lifting. If I have back pain, it's because I'm sore from back workout. But no, I used to have horrible pain all the time. I used to have to kind of will myself out of bed every morning. And it's just the absolute opposite now.
And what's been the response from your friends? I'm sure there's family members and friends that, see you every day, but then there's others that would see you every few months and they would notice the notable difference in you. What was some of the reactions from them?
When I started, I was still, we were in the middle of the C word. So I was at home working from home a lot. And when we all went back to the office, like June or July, I hadn't seen some of these people other than Zoom for a good year and a half. There were so many people that didn't recognize me.
Because everyone else had put on the quarantine film. From the other way.
Yeah. The pendulum swung the other way for some. No, didn't recognize who I was. I had a couple buddies that I would see at the gym, the new gym that had opened by my office. I said hi to, and they acted like they didn't know who I was. I had people, this is kind of morbid, but I had teachers from like high school and college that reached out to me that were afraid to say something because they thought that maybe I was sick because I had dropped so much. I mean, it's morbid, but it's a compliment as well. They wanted to say something, but didn't because they were afraid that maybe I was losing weight because I was sick or something. And just, yeah, I mean, I still, there's a gal in my office. It's kind of the office mom. She calls me every time I walk in the office, she screams skinny at me. And yeah, I mean, that is across the board. People that I see every day are still like, man, I cannot believe that you look like that right now. And people that I've not seen in a long time that are absolutely blown away. And like I said, were afraid to say something because they thought something might have been wrong.
Yeah. And this is the unfortunate thing that I've noticed in particular in America more than other countries, because we deal with so much obesity here and people being overweight, that when you drop a lot of weight, a lot of people, of course, some people are very, very encouraging of that, which is great. It gives us positive reinforcement. But then others will say, wow, you look too ill. You need to put on some weight. Here, let's have a donut, whatever, because the average size and weight of an American is larger than average. So they want to encourage you to be normal, which is way above, a healthy weight range. That's the unfortunate thing. So with this, and obviously people getting inquisitive have, as I said before, like kids learn by observation. Did anybody observe this and get encouraged to transform themselves?
Yeah, I actually, a buddy down the street actually signed up and did, I think, 12 or 14 weeks with you.
12 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, he dropped like 30 pounds and looks great and is still walking the walk as well. In fact, we talked yesterday and he's like, hey, I kind of fell off the last couple of weeks, but I'm getting back on it. And he's sending me workout videos while he's doing it. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm your accountability buddy because I'm doing it too. So in moments of weakness, drop the donut and call me. To that end too, man, there is a lot of reactions to the touch back on the reaction point. I get a lot of reactions of, man, what did you do? I've had people ask like what I had done, what procedure I had done to lose the weight, which again is flattering, but to kind of talk back on what you were talking about with this notion of, if you're not obese, you're not healthy. And that's like the norm. I tell everybody the same thing. I'm like, diet and exercise, man. There is no silver bullet. And if there is, it's going to probably fill you full of chemicals or not be the healthy solution. So I tell everybody the same thing: diet, exercise, discipline, and patience, because that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, you got to have patience and, a lot of consistency, because it isn't a 5-day-a-week program. It's 7 days, It's, of course, once you've gone through the transformation, which you have, that is like the boot camp. But now you have the tools and the knowledge, and, you've got the accountability from your friend and hopefully your kids, Houston and Gray, that you can go through this transformation with that accountability without me having to be hands-on. This is the tools that you need to help yourself. Once you've created those changes with your neuro pathways to now have habitual habits, then you should be able to do this yourself, and you've been able to do that. So I really applaud you for that. And the one thing that I do applaud you for as well is that when you came to me in the very beginning, you said you wanted to do this for Houston and Gray, your two children. And I wish more parents would do that, because I see so many parents that are extremely overweight, and they're taking their kids to the McDonald's and they're just getting Dairy Queen and bad food. And I'm like, okay, because you've created these bad habits for yourself, maybe you should rethink some of those habits now, because you have children. And of course, it isn't about being so self-centered. Now you have to provide for others. And, like I said, kids learn by observation. Yeah. And who do they look up to the most, especially when they're young? Their parents. Yep. So, I really, really do applaud you for making that stance. And, I'm sure they've learned by observation, observing you now, and they're going to make healthier lifestyle choices as they grow into adulthood as well.
Yeah.
One thing before we wrap this up, there's a lot of people out there that are listening and watching this, and they've seen your transformation pictures, and maybe, they're in a similar starting point. Maybe they're, close to 300 pounds, maybe more, who knows? Or maybe just under that, but they feel overwhelmed because they've let themselves get out of control for so long. And like you mentioned in one of the previous answers, like, where do you start? It can be overwhelming. It's like, God, what do I do? Do I sign up for a gym membership? I don't really want to go to the gym. I train at home. I get a personal trainer. I don't. Should I just learn before I apply? What is your suggestion for people out there in a similar position that you were?
Start small. Don't look at, like you were saying, work out 5 days, you don't drop a pound, you quit and give up and go back to old habits. You have to start small and only think about what's in front of you and get to the next day. Build on that every single day, whether that's walking around the block. If your knees hurt when you run, walk around the block once a day. That's better than nothing. Because once you start doing things like that and stay disciplined to it and committed to it, you start having small wins every day. And those small wins stack one on top of each other. And after 2 weeks, you look back and you're like, oh, well, shit, I've lost 4 or 5 pounds. Okay, what can I do this week? How do I build on what I've already done and not crash diet so I give up after 3 days because I'm going to pass out from starvation? And get into it gradually and think long-term. Think of what it's going to look like 3 months from now if you do the little things every single day. Because then those little things, like I said, those small wins stack on top of each other. And then you start having really big wins where you look back a month and a half and you've lost 20 or 25 pounds. Those small wins and that motivation will keep you going every single day until those small changes have become a habit. And you don't have to force yourself to get up to go to the gym in the morning when it's cold outside and you don't want to. You'll train your body and, more importantly, your mind to just do it automatically. You can't do something, okay, it's January 1st. I'm going to go back to the gym 3 hours a day and crash diet and eat chicken and broccoli all day. That won't work. It's not sustainable. And you can't go from eating like garbage and drinking all the time to eating chicken and broccoli and only drinking water. Like, you can't go from one extreme to the other. It doesn't work. Everybody fails. We know that. So you just have to gradually work into it, and you have to find your why, right? You have to find what your why is. And if you don't have one, then maybe you're not ready to commit. I don't know. But for me, my why was, I'm going to keep going down this path, and I'm going to die at 45 or 50 and my kids won't grow up with their father. And that was like, okay, that can't happen. So what do I need to do so it doesn't? And you make it so easy to kind of gradually get into this stuff. The workouts that I started with weren't nearly as intense as the ones I'm on now. You didn't strip away carbs and fat from day one. We gradually worked into it. If you don't know where to go, seek somebody that knows what they're doing. For me, it was you, because I had followed you for a number of years and saw what you were capable of and what results you got out of your clients. So my why was, I can't die from, and leave my kids fatherless in 10 years. And the solution was to to seek somebody out that could tell me exactly what to do every single day. And all I had to do was stop the bullshit excuses and show up every day.
Yeah, and that's it. There's so many excuses that we can choose upon. There's hundreds, thousands, probably millions out there. Yeah. Or there's one way of doing it, and that's with a commitment to consistency. And, not being encouraged like on a Friday night to go and have some beers with the boys and go for a pizza, when you're feeling pissed off, lethargic, down, tired, whatever it may be. It's that consistency, because your words should, even if it doesn't mean anything to anyone else, it should be everything to you. And you have to be selfish to a certain degree in order to be selfless and give more to others, like you're going to give many more years now to your kids. But you had to be selfish in order to be selfless to them. So I really, really do appreciate your time and your story and your message that you've put out here today, Andrew. And it's been an absolute pleasure helping you through your transformation. And it's been a pleasure to see you since you've gone through that transformation, that you've been able to continue to progress, packing on muscle. You're still, sticking to a decent lifestyle with exercise that where it was lacking before. So I really appreciate that. If people do have any questions for you, because there may be some people watching this and listening in, and they go, you know what, this guy's very similar to me. He's in a very similar situation. Is there a way that they can reach out and ask you any questions, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. They can, obviously email is the best way to get in touch with somebody. You are more than allowed to give my email to somebody that is stuck and doesn't know where to start, or doesn't think that they can fit something into their schedule. Because I'm telling you right now, if I can do this, which I did, if I can do this, anybody can. I'm as busy as they get. I had the most excuses I could lean on to quit and give up, and I never did. So if I can do it, anybody out there can.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I appreciate your time. So from myself and Andrew, this is the Kris Gethin podcast. If you do like this episode, and if you like the podcast, please do like, comment, and subscribe. If you do have any questions in particular, you can put them in the comment box. And of course, if there's other people that you feel that would benefit from this podcast, then please do share it as well. Until next week, we are out.
Thank you ever so much for listening. My name is Kris Gethin, and I am out.